Chapter 3: The Aztec Empire Builders. The eagle and the cactus. About 300 years after the Maya abandoned their cities, another great civilization arose. They were the Aztec people, who lived in what is today central Mexico. The big question is, why did the Aztec make human sacrifices? Our vocabulary: Aztec, a noun, a civilization that thrived in present-day central Mexico from 1325 to 1521 Common Era. Nomadic is an adjective. We've talked about this before. It means moving around often in search of food, not settled in one place. According to legend, the Aztec were once a nomadic tribe. They wandered the land, setting up temporary homes here and there, fighting off attackers and surviving on snakes and lizards. One day, the god of the sun spoke to the people. The god told the Aztec people to look for a sign: an eagle with a snake in its beak perched on a cactus. On the spot where the eagle perched, the Aztec were to build a great city. Here's a picture of the eagle with the serpent in its mouth. The legend goes on to describe how the Aztec finally received the sign the god had told them about. The eagle appeared on a swampy island in Lake Texcoco. On that day, the Aztec wandering ended. They settled down and began building a city. The Aztec people called their new home Tenochtitlan, which means the place of the prickly pear. Even today, the eagle and the serpent are shown on the flag of Mexico. Whether or not the myth is true, we do know that the Aztec established Tenochtitlan by 1325. By the 1400s, the Aztec civilization had begun to expand. The Aztec proved to be fearsome warriors. One by one, they conquered neighboring city-states and added them to their empire. By the early 1500s, the Aztec Empire included 400 to 500 city-states and controlled much of present-day Mexico. The Aztec Emperor ruled more than 5 million people. Tenochtitlan alone probably had between 150,000 and 200,000 residents, making it one of the largest cities in the world at this time. No city in the United States would grow so large until the 1800s. An empire is a noun, a group of countries or territories under the control of one government or ruler, and an emperor is the ruler of an empire. The Aztec were well-known warriors. By conquering other people, they were able to gain wealth. Aztec warriors then forced conquered people to send their gold, silver, jade, and turquoise to Tenochtitlan. Those who had no valuables could send food, clothes, or other goods. People who lived by the ocean might also have to send seashells, fish, or turtles. Farmers might send corn, beans, peppers, squash, or fruit. Groups with access to specific environments might have to give animal skins and feathers. Craft-working communities might send pottery or blankets to Tenochtitlan. The legend of the five sons. Victorious Aztec warriors sent more than food and precious metals and stones back to Tenochtitlan. They also sent back soldiers captured in battle. The captured soldiers sometimes were used in an important religious ritual of the Aztec people: human sacrifice. To understand the importance of human sacrifice, we need to take a closer look at Aztec religion. According to the Aztec beliefs, life was uncertain. The one thing people could count on was that the world would one day come to a terrible, violent end. In fact, the Aztec believed that the world and the sun had been created and destroyed 4 times in the past. Under the first sun, a race of giants roamed the world. This world ended when a jaguar devoured the giants. The world under the second sun was swept away by a great wind. People under the third sun died in the fire and ash of volcanoes. Those living under the fourth sun drowned in floods. The Aztec of Tenochtitlan believed they were living under the fifth sun, but they believed that this sun would also someday die. There will be earthquakes and hunger, and then our end shall come, the priests said. The Aztec people believed these predictions. They planned their lives in response to them. So the Aztec awaited their fate, but they did not simply accept it. They believed that each night the sun god battled the forces of darkness. Each morning the god had to find the strength to make the sun rise again. The Aztec believed they could help their god by offering human sacrifices in their temples. The Aztec preferred to sacrifice someone other than their own friends and family. Most of their victims were foreign soldiers captured in war. Aztec priests believed that the heart was the most important thing to sacrifice. They preferred to offer up the strong heart of a soldier. Religious sacrifice. The Aztec held their sacrifices on top of pyramids, not unlike those built by the Maya. A big drum sounded as attendants led the victims to the top. The priest killed the victim by removing his heart. The heart was then burned on an altar. The victim's body was then allowed to tumble down the pyramid's steps. The process was repeated for each victim. The Aztec believed human sacrifices were necessary to keep the sun rising and moving across the sky. They could even point to events that seemed to prove that the sacrifices worked. Once, when a long drought threatened the Aztec corn harvest, priests offered a number of human sacrifices. A day or so later, rain came. To the Aztec, this was no coincidence. It was proof that the gifts of blood had saved the crop. Experiences like this convinced the Aztec of the power of human sacrifice. As a result, Aztec offerings to the gods were regular and generous. Success at war. Priests and soldiers were key elements of Aztec life. Priests used human sacrifice to please the gods. Aztec soldiers held the empire together and provided the victims for the sacrifices. As in many societies until recent times, Aztec people were born into a certain social class. Most people had relatively little chance to advance out of it. The army provided one opportunity for brave men to better themselves. Success in battle was rewarded with advancement and honor. The Aztec people believed there was no greater honor than to die in battle. No doubt about it, the Aztec were fierce warriors, but their capabilities in warfare and skill at fighting helped create a rich empire and a remarkable civilization. We'll read on to learn more about the civilization that the Aztec built and their famous capital city of Tenochtitlan.